What is up, guys? The doctor is back in the office, and today we are breaking down a generational fight night. Brandon Moreno versus Loner Kavanagh in Mexico. It doesn't really get any better than this, and I'm scared for Mexico because if Brandon Moreno goes out there and loses, I don't even want to know what's going to happen to the country of Mexico. Mexico might cease to exist. I mean, look at the reaction from the Mexican people when Fluffy got his ass kicked by Sean Strickland. The fucking place is on fire. The cartel is lighting buildings on fire, cars on fire, attacking civilians. Who knows what's going to happen if Brandon Moreno, one of the Mexican heroes, loses. And listen, this card's full of Jose's, Miguel's, Carlos's, Essays, fucking you name it. They got their names on this card, and a bunch of people are making their debuts. A lot of randoms, but let's get right into this one. Starting off with the early prelim opener of Wes Schultz versus Damian Penas. I forget how to say the kid's name. We'll call him Penas. And I like Damian Penas here. Debut for both guys. Both had highlight reel first round finishes on Dana White's Contender Series. Wes Schultz had that like Suluev stretch, however you pronounce the submission, my bad, which is really rare. You don't really see it that often. That was his second appearance on Dana White's Contender Series after getting finished by Mansour Abdul Malik, which isn't really that bad of a loss in middleweight, but whatever. He was also 4-1 in LFA. But I like Damian Penas here. He's younger, longer, faster. That sounded kind of gay, but I do like him here. Wes Schultz will probably try and get, involved in grappling exchanges, but I think Damian Penas, the Baby Yaga, is just too strong, too fast, too quick. I think he's going to win this by TKO in round 2. Up the card, we go to Eric Silva. Who the fuck is Eric Silva versus Francis Marshall? I really have no clue who Eric Silva is. I know that he is 0-2 in the UFC, and he had a leg injury in his last fight against Muhammad Naimov and has been out for 2 years. I know who Francis Marshall is, though, so I'm going to lean with him. He's 2-3 in the UFC. Losses to William Gomez, Myron Santos, he was pretty competitive with, and he lost to Isaac Dogarian, the legend himself. I like Marshall here, younger, more active, more well-rounded. The Myron Santos loss is kind of aging well for him based on, how Myron Santos' career has progressed. I'm going to take Francis Marshall by late third round TKO. Maybe he gets a decision here also. But I couldn't really tell you much about Eric Silva other than like the fucking two things I said. Up the card we go to Ernesta Caracate versus Regina Turin. I think she's a short notice replacement for whatever the bloke's name is. I forget her name. I don't really have much to say about this. Tapology is saying, the people are saying 63% for Regina. She's just 21. She's young and she's from Mexico. So if it gets a decision, she's going to win it. I'm going to take her by decision. Also, Ernesta is 1-1 in the UFC though. She did beat Carly Judice on the Contender Series. And she's kind of a blockhead, but I don't know. Everybody's kind of saying this Regina girl's okay, so who cares? Up the card we go to Douglas Da Silva Andrade versus Javier Reyes. Again, I have no clue who Javier Reyes is. I think this is his. I think this is his debut in the UFC. Douglas Silva is fucking 40 years old, but Reyes is also not that young either. He's 32. He's not some spry pollo. Javier Reyes kind of sucks. He's a blockhead, weird striking. His striking defense sucks. And he won his debut on the Contender Series. No, he won on the Contender Series by round 2 finish. The one thing I'll say about him, for a guy who this is his debut in the UFC, 27 pro fights is pretty wild. He's at a ton. De Andrade, he's 7-6 in the UFC. He's been around for a long time. Beat Chito Vera like 6 years ago, has lost to Rob Font, Petr Yan, Said Nurmagomedov, Lerone Murphy. I think I said Petr Yan twice. I think he got finished there. But at the very least, he's fought some names. He's pretty durable, pretty crafty, savvy vet, has some pretty good grappling. I'm just going to take him to win this by decision. Javier Reyes, I don't really trust his shit striking defense and overall inexperience in the UFC in comparison to De Andrade. Up the card we go to Christian. Jesus Christ, who the fuck are these guys? Christian Quiones versus Chris Patino. I mean, another one of those matchups where you're like, how do these dudes have fucking jobs? I'll take Quiones by round 2 TKO. Like, Matino 0-3 in the UFC. Gets finished in ways you've never seen, and they're always brutal. I mean, he survived against O'Malley, then got his, so by survived, I mean he literally lost 20 years of his fucking life because of how long he was in the octagon with him. Got finished bad there. Malcolm Wellmaker put this dude out comically with a hook, what was it, left hook, right hook. And then I forget who the other dude he lost to is. But Quinones, at the very least, he has a win in the UFC. You know, got subbed by Howdy Barcelos 2 years ago. These are two cheeks from the same ass. They both fucking suck. Quinones kind of did okay in two of his losses, has more power in his hands. I'm going to go with him by round 2 TKO. Chris Patino, bro, you need to find a new hobby. Maybe, I don't really know what people that look like you do. Usually they're methed up on the side in Penn Station. I mean, you're not from New York, but I'm just trying to go from experience. Or maybe he's like a tattoo artist, or maybe he opens up a burger shop where they sell like shareables or some shit. But up the card we go to Macy Chiasson versus Aline Perez. I remember when this fight was announced, I made like a whole TikTok about it because I think it was like the second fight announced at the card, and I was like, I can't believe this is going to be the co-main of the card because these are both two ranked women's bantamweights, both particularly not that good. Aline Perez is okay, can grapple pretty well. Macy Chiasson, she sucks. She looks like a dude lost against a 60-year-old not Myra Santos, Yana Santos. I can't believe she lost that fight. On a 2-fight losing streak, also lost to Ketlin Vieira in there, which is whatever. But Perez is 5-1 in the UFC, 5-fight winning streak, more physical, better grappler. I'm going to take Aline Perez by decision. Up the card we go to Jose Medina versus Ryan Gandra. I can't believe Jose Medina has a job. How does this dude have a job in the UFC? They gave this guy a contract despite losing on Dana White's Contender Series, one of the worst fighters I've ever seen in my life. And somehow this dude has 11 wins as a professional in mixed martial arts. That fucking beats me. The 11 dudes who lost to this guy legitimately shouldn't be allowed to live. And that might be extreme, but listen, I don't know how the fuck you lose this guy. He's one of the worst fighters I've ever seen. He's got finished in his last two by Tepa Gautier, and then also got destroyed by Dusko Todorovic, who loses to Dusko Todorovic. Ryan Gandra's making his UFC debut. I'll just take him by round 1 finish. What has Jose Medina shown us that he can fucking win a UFC fight, if I'm being honest? And they've cut so many good dudes from the UFC, whether it's, Muhammad Mokaev, Rinat Fakhretdinov, Javid Basharat. Not saying all these dudes are really elite and we need them in the UFC, but Jose Medina somehow still has a job, and he's legitimately the worst UFC fighter we've all ever seen. I don't really have much to say. This card is terrible. Off the card we go to Santiago Luna versus Angel Pacheco. No clue who Angel Pacheco is. I think this kid might be related to Isaiah Pacheco. I just know he's old. Santiago Luna beat Quang Lee, who kind of sounds like he's related to Sub-Zero Scorpion. I think that was one of their tribes in Mortal Kombat. He knocked him out. So I'm going to go with Luna because he has more power. And Pacheco has no power. And he's not some insane grappler. He's just not really that... Kid's not really that good. Not submission. Round 1 TKO. Angel Pacheco. No clue who this kid is. Now, I do know who both these dudes are. Emmanuel Rodriguez versus Kevin Borjas. Emmanuel, a fun prospect. I kind of lean towards him here. I don't think this is the easiest debut for him. Kevin Borjas, although he's 1-3 in the UFC, has fought some pretty decent names. Lost to whatever that kid, what's the Chinese dude, Submergy, whatever the kid's name is. Lost to him in his last fight. Also lost to Alessandro Costa and Joshua Van, which are two pretty, Joshua Van, obviously a really good flyweight. Alessandro Costa, I also think, is a pretty decent flyweight. Borges, again, was competitive, but I think Emmanuel can get going faster. He's more aggressive. He's that classic Mexican where he's going to get in your face, fucking punch you, but like, hey, I say what's up, motherfucker, and get in your face, punch you in the face a bunch of times, push a pace. Kevin Borges doesn't really do enough in the octagon for me to feel confident in picking him here. And also in that last fight, he probably should have won it. I thought that Chinese kid or Japanese, whatever Asian guy he was up against, he was better than, and he didn't do enough, and he lost. I'm going to pick Emmanuel Rodriguez, the young 26-year-old, by decision. Up the card we go to Edgar Chairez versus Felipe Bunez. More people who aren't real. I'll take Chairez. Bunez is 1-2 in the UFC. Got finished by Joshua Van in round 1. Chairez 2-2 in the UFC. Lost to Joshua Van, but put up a decent fight in there. And beat Tatsuro Taira. So I'm going to go with Edgar Chairez. Bigger, kind of a weight bully at flyweight. Nasty grappling. I'm going to take him by submission in round 2. Again, he had moments against Tatsuro Taira. Moments against Felipe Bunez, He will have moments against Felipe Bunes this Saturday, but Bunes got his ass kicked by Van. Chairez just has more finishing ability. I'm going to lean Edgar Chairez by round 2 submission. Sure, why not? Why not? This video, if you're a first time fucking watcher, usually we get a little bit more in depth in this, but this card is so terrible. Like, I can't, they just rounded up a bunch of random Mexicans to go on this card. But these are actually not random Mexicans. King Greed is black, so he's not Mexican. Daniel Zellhuber, though, he is Mexican. And this one, I actually have a lot to say about this one, so fucking strap in. This is a fight that means something to me. Zellhuber, 3-3 in the UFC, 3-3. Got outclassed by Michael Johnson pretty badly in his last fight. Also lost to Esteban Ribovic before that. And I don't think this dude is good whatsoever. And the only reason he's been hyped up is because he's fucking Mexican. And Bobby Green, you could say whatever you want about him. I know 14-12 in the UFC. He's lost 3 of his last 4. Before his last win, before his most recent win against Lance Gibson, and has had some brutal finishes, you know, where he got fucking highlight reel KO'd against Mauricio Huffy, and Paddy Pimblett submitted him pretty badly, put him out unconscious. But listen, Daniel Zellhuber is not at the level of a fucking Jalen Turner, a Ruffy, a Paddy Pimblett, an Islam Makhachev, obviously. Like, Daniel Zellhuber is not good. And I kind of like Bobby Green by decision. To get outclassed that badly by Michael Johnson, I know Michael Johnson at his old age is still capable of putting a people forget man kind of performance together, but you can't be doing that when you're supposed to be this kind of hyped up Mexican prospect who's big for the division. 6'1" with really long arms. He doesn't really know how to use his range that well. He's a good grappler too, just bad fight IQ, and I don't really think I just don't think he's that smart. I could see Bobby Green just taunting the shit out of him. He'll get in your face. He'll brawl with you. He's going to troll you. And looked kind of decent against Lance Gibson. Now, I get it. Lance Gibson was kind of in there on short notice. Or I don't even know if they had an opponent for Bobby Green. They're like, Bobby Green, just show up to the Apex. We're going to send a guy in there. And Bobby Green's always down to fucking fight. And he managed to win that one rather convincingly. Is there a chance Bobby Green just gets chinned in this fight? 100%. It wouldn't shock me whatsoever. But that doesn't change my opinion on Daniel Zellhuber. This guy sucks. I don't think he's very good whatsoever. Bobby Green, I think Bobby Green win this and retire. This is the win I want you to go after. Go after a guy in Daniel Zellhuber who just sucks and beat his ass. 29-28 decision for Bobby Green. Up the card we go to Chito Vera versus David Martinez. And I lean Martinez here. You know, Vera, 15-10 in the UFC, lost 3 in a row. All the legit opponents like Sean O'Malley, Figgy, Ayman Zahabi. Martinez is undefeated in the UFC, beat crafty vet Rob Font on relatively short note. Like, he was a fill-in for Chiwiwis. And I like Chito in his last fight versus Zahabi. Like, maybe he got robbed. I don't know. It kind of depends who you talk to. I thought he did decent. It was a good scrap. But again, just doesn't do enough. Gets hit too much. Even though he's fucking made of bricks. I mean, you can't drop this guy for shit. He just makes way too many fights close for me to pick him. You know, you make a fight close, you know, against, what's it called? You make a close fight against Zahabi, and now you're going to be in another decision with David Martinez, most likely, and he's at home in Mexico, so you're not winning this decision by any means. Martinez has good power, has good cardio, really showed that against Rob Font. Chito Vera, again, he can grapple, just doesn't use any of his tools. I'm not confident enough to pick him in this. I think he gets hit too much. He'll probably win a round, maybe like the second round, where he maybe turns up the pace a little bit, and then he'll lose 29-28 and do the classic Chito Vera where he's just complaining, and he doesn't understand why he lost, even though it was pretty clear why he lost. David Martinez also has pretty great footwork. Again, faster. I just lean him by decision. I will say, though, one thing. Even though I'm picking David Martinez by decision, I do think there's a little bit of a chance Chito Vera gets finished. And even though I said Chito Vera, he's made of brick, you know, he's iron chin, granite chin, as Joe Rogan would say. We just saw our boy Dan Ige get slimed out by Melky Costa. Maybe this is where we start to see these unks who never get finished start to get finished. So I think anything's possible. I'm just going to take David Martinez by decision. Moving on to our main event of Brandon Moreno versus Loner Kavanagh. Pretty fun matchup. Like, I don't think this is a great matchup for Loner Kavanagh by any means, but I do think it's a fun fight. Like, listen, Brandon Moreno versus Asuel Mabayev, boring. Who cares? At least Loner Kavanagh, you're like, we got a fun prospect here. If he wins, then you're starting to look like, oh shit, maybe this guy's legit, even though he lost to Charles Johnson. And everybody knows when you lose to Charles Johnson, you start shooting up through the rankings and you get hot. So I do think that's in play here, but I don't particularly love this matchup for Loner Kavanagh. Short notice, it's at elevation, it's in Mexico. Fuck, what else? And he's facing a guy who's far more technical than him, one of the best flyweights of all time. You just got exposed by Charles Johnson, who's not anywhere near Brandon Moreno's level. And again, you're fighting one of the best flyweights ever. And I know you could say Brandon Moreno 2-3 in his last 5, 2-3 in his last 5. Got finished by Tatsuro Taira in his last fight, but he beat Urseg and Amir Albazi before that. You know, Loner Kavanagh beat Jose Ochoa, but really just got badly exposed in the Charles Johnson fight. I'll say this, he looked good early on in that first round, and I could see Loner Kavanagh coming out here doing some damage early because he is really fast and has power in his hands, can grapple a little bit, you know, fast on the feet, can scramble well, can grapple decently. But the problem is that gas tank is an issue, and he hasn't proven yet that, you know, it isn't an issue. You know, I know I kind of just fucking repeated myself right there. But I don't have enough confidence in him beating Brandon Moreno. Brandon Moreno's got an elite level gas tank, can scramble very well, just so much better than Charles Johnson, far more technical in the striking. And this kind of, I feel bad for Loner Kavanagh because this kind of destroys a lot of the hype that he has as a prospect. It's one thing where you just lose a fight to Charles Johnson. Everybody knows Charles Johnson could randomly look like a 99 overall. And, you know, you can kind of get temporarily slowed down, but it's just one loss. Now you're going to be on a 2-fight losing streak once you lose to Moreno. Again, guy is just hard to take down. Scrambles well. Can piece up Loner Kavanagh with the jab. Can just work that. You're really going to start to see that wear on Loner Kavanagh by the second and third round. And I think he's going to get a finish. You're going to see the tides are fucking turning. The crowd's going crazy. Modelos are flying. Brandon Moreno is going to get a finish by round 3 TKO. I think we're going to get a vintage Brandon Moreno performance, just showing him, people forget, man, Loner Kavanagh, you're not at the level of Brandon Moreno, one of the best flyweights ever. He's going to get a finish by ground and pound TKO in the third round. And there you have it. Those are my predictions for UFC Fight Night, Mexico City, wherever the fuck this is. Hopefully Brandon Moreno wins, so we don't need to see more. I don't need to see any more violence in Mexico, or else shit's going to get ugly from Mexico City if Brandon Moreno loses. But that's the recap. Those are my predictions. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. The doctor is signing off.